Before we get started, I would like to thank a couple of people and businesses who have helped put this thing on. Mr. Mike Melvin, John Harrigan, and Hope Nicewander for Perpetual Savings Bank. Paul Popple for catering the event. Pinky Pendleton and the VFW. Please give them a round of applause. I would also like to thank our committee, Mr. Charles Steele, Superintendent, Mrs. Kristen Mays, our high school principal, Daryl Thomas, Board President and the Board of Education, and Melanie Eula, the Booster President. I would like to also thank the pep band for their special appearance. Thank you. Before we get into our two inductees, I would like to call up Coach Kottner, our head football coach, to talk about the season. Upcoming season.
Thank you. First off, I want to congratulate Jan Rees tonight. I want to thank the Ring of Honor Committee for inviting us here and having us here. Mr. Borland and Coach Rattan, congratulations on a great honor. And it's really cool for me personally to be here tonight to see Coach Rattan get this honor. He and I worked together, taught and coached together for several years. And I remember conversations with him, and it always impressed me how much he loved Urbana and Urbana High School and the great teams that he played on, and tell me about Coach Nicola, Coach Brennig, and all the great things that happened here. So congratulations, and it's pretty awesome. We're excited for tomorrow night. Obviously, a lot of preparation goes into a season. We have a very young group, an inexperienced group of players that are a lot of fun to coach because all they do is just work hard. And they are a group that's going to be exciting to watch. They're going to give everything they have, and we're excited to get them on the field and show what we can do tomorrow night in front of a great crowd. It's going to be a great, the weather's going to be awesome, and it's going to be a lot of fun. This group, I promise you, will represent this community, this school, with a lot of pride. And they're going to be a lot of fun to watch, not only this year, but in the years to come. Thank you very much for allowing us to be a part of this.
Thank you, Coach Kottner. Thank you guys, and good luck. I would also like to call up Hope Nicewander, who would like to discuss a little bit about the George Scott Ring of Honor for us.
Said it's on. Okay. I'm a little superstitious. I had a flashback. I always do coming into this building. I'll tell you that because those of you that are who remember this used to be Central Ward School. As I walked in the door, I either imagined or pretended that I saw Floyd Schrader and Mr. Braden, and then they disappeared. It was a long time ago. Those of you that came to this site back in the mid-40s, such as I did, so you remember that as a time and place. Ed told me I had some signboards here. First of all, we want you all to have a wonderful season. We want you to know that we're always proud. Urbana is a great place to have a football team. We have a community, somewhat represented here, that supports, encourages, and celebrates. Best of luck over here. I'm sure many of you knew Mike Simpson. This is a great combination of emotions for most of us because Mike Simpson did this portrait of George Scott. George was kind of handsome. Some of them. This plaque shows what our football season was in 1953. You know, when I look at that, and I think about coaches, athletic directors, I look at that list of teams that we played and think that's a pretty good representation of good competition. I'll tell you the reason why. We had an athletic director named Paul Cook. And we had Woodrow Purdy as a superintendent. And they came with the determination that we were going to put our name on the map. So, does the name Dan Hoyt mean anything to you? Does the name Lou Berliner mean anything to you? They were sports writers, big sports writers. One with the Springfield, Dan Hoyt. Berliner was with the Columbus Dispatch. And Mr. Cook reached out to people. He was a same old guy, and he got us into Central Buckeye League. You know, some public schools there, which was Paul Cotton for us in those days. And we had the support of the community, as we always do, and as you always will. It was a good season. There were a lot of great things to talk about. I've seen quite a few people that I have the pleasure, honor to play with, and we had to discuss some old-time things, as you can well imagine. But that was a pretty representative group, and it's not that we nominated everybody so well, but we played well. We had a star, George Scott. This was our season that ended in us being ranked 9th. I don't think, as the saying goes, we can hold the jockstrap of some of these better teams, okay? The truth of it is that our representation in the press, Mr. Hoyt, Mr. Berlin, helped us. And Paul Cook, Woodrow Purdy, saw to it that we got a lot of press. We ranked 9th. I don't have we ever before since we ranked 9th. There's a conference here.
Well, the one problem was back then there was only 2 divisions.
Athletic directors always like to talk.
Back then, there were only 2 divisions. So consequently, you were either in A or B. Obviously, today, we have what? 7 divisions in football and 5 or 6 in basketball. So it was quite a bit different. This was quite an honor for a smaller school to be able to compete or be paired with national and important 2 of the big name schools in the state of Ohio.
That was one of your shorter seasons. Here I turn over the phone to you. I mean, you know, I don't know your reputation. Lieutenants usually talk a lot. I didn't. I hope this is a special place. You all recognize George Scott meant a lot to us, meant a lot to the community. He went on planning, did very well, played blue ball for a while, ended up Canadian ball, ended up in New York area, Buffalo. As a banker, he was a smart guy. Hickory, you're the one that tells the story about, yeah, who tells the story about back class with Miss Coleman?
Don't you go there?
Well, the long and the short of it, he was a character. I mean, he just, that class was tough. Miss Coleman was tougher. We were left to our classroom. So I said, "Well, George got out on the parapet, go to the old castle building. The Latin class was right up there. He got out there, danced, sang, entertained. And then the other part of it was, he was probably the best Latin student in the class. So did well. And one of the family, as a wonderful family, we had the opportunity in years past to have them as a part of this as well. And it was a great, great time. So to the point, I'm running over my time. You get a microphone in your hand, you get practice. We have two people to celebrate tonight. Elise, King Full, and Billboard. Here's the momentum. That is going to George Scott History. His life and time in Urbana and some of the very nice things that have been said about him through the years. Thank you so much for your service. I'm proud of you all. And another routine. Thank you for your service, for your success. I'm always glad to have people from Urbana do so well. You certainly have done that. We are all proud.
Thank you, Hope. This is one of my favorite events, and people like that really hit home. So thank you, Hope. Congratulations. Tonight we are honoring two very special people who were outstanding and dedicated while they were here at Urbana High School. Mr. Bill Borland and Mr. Doug Rutan. Bill Borland took over the athletic department in 1972, and it was a struggle in many ways. Through his hard work and leadership, he helped many coaches develop their programs into some of the best in the state. Urbana was lacking in adequate facilities for many sports. He was instrumental in reaching out to the community and boosters to develop the new facilities, including the weight and wrestling rooms and the completion of the Boyd Street complex, which includes our baseball and softball fields and the all-weather track. Many athletic programs experienced success during his tenure. There were numerous league titles, and the school captured state titles in volleyball in 1976, baseball in 1982 and 1990, which Mr. Doug Rutan was a part of, and the girls' basketball program in 1992 and 1993. This is why Urbana was one of the best in the state during his time. At this time, I would like to ask Coach Bob Brenning, who was also a 2015 George Scott Ring of Honor inductee, to come up and speak on behalf of Bill Borland.
Dan asked me to say a few words tonight about Bill. I started thinking, why would he ask me? Then I started thinking, getting my calculator out, and said that's because one old guy is going to talk about another old guy. A little over 47 years ago, I remember walking into the school and heading to the athletic department where I was supposed to meet our new athletic director. That new athletic director was Bill Borland. He was a first-year athletic director, and I was only in the second year of my teaching at Urbana. We sort of grew into our jobs together. And I know he'll think, and I know I think. There were some high points and there were some low points, but we kept trotting along. To go over a few things that Dan's already mentioned, not a lot of people remember this, but when Bill first took over, the athletic department was facing some big challenges. Gate receipts had been down. There was not a lot of money to work with. He also had to deal with a lot of very inexperienced young coaches that he had to mentor. And as Dan mentioned, our facilities were lacking to a great degree. But through his hard work and perseverance, Bill slowly but surely got things better. Urbana started providing great opportunities for the young people to showcase their skills. The other thing that I want to mention is Bill was athletic director at a time where athletics was changing a great deal. When many of us out here that are very old and had gray hair or no hair, remember, athletics were for guys. There were no girls' sports to speak of. During his tenure, the High School Athletic Association really expanded. And little by little, more sports were added. That was great opportunity, but it also meant a lot more work. And there was a lot of challenges, but he met them head on. Being an athletic director is not a 5-day-a-week job or a 9-to-5 job. Dan can attest to that, I'm sure. Bill spent hours of extra time working with the Booster Club and the community to improve the facilities and the opportunities for our students at Urbana. One thing Bill always believed in was that sports should be more than what's on the scoreboard. He knew that athletes had to learn a lot of lessons. They had to learn how to deal with failure. They had to learn how to deal with success. While some athletic directors spent almost all their time putting in focus on basketball and football, the revenue sports, Bill spent time with those, but he also spent time with each and every coach that was interested in developing their program. Thus, a lot of people made things better and had a lot of success. One of the things that Bill did best was hire people. I'm not talking about coaches. Bill knew the job in the athletic department was big. You better have good people. And the first office that you walk into is athletic secretaries. And I think there's a couple of former athletic secretaries here today, okay? I wouldn't want them to stand up by any means, but I really would. Betty, Sharon. Seriously, Bill will be the first one to tell you that those people that served as athletic secretary were a huge part of our success. They made things easier. And for me personally, anytime I couldn't find my keys, I went to Betty Cobb, okay? Because she always knew where I left. When coaches have success, they sometimes are recognized. Oftentimes, athletic directors are not. They seem to be recognized with headaches. They're given the things that no one else wants to deal with. You know, things like the scoreboard's not working tonight. Oh, what's wrong? And you know, 2 hours ago you checked it was fine. Or why is the sound system too high tonight and tomorrow night it'll be too low? Or why did you hire that guy to coach? Well, Bill, it's been a long time coming, but you deserve some recognition yourself. I think I say for all the coaches that work for you and all the people you help and all the athletes that pass through Urbana while you're watching, thanks for a job well done.
Thank you, Coach Rennie. We would also like to bring up Bill's son, Brent, to say a few words.
I don't have a notebook. Phone. You'll have to forgive me, I'm not really a great speaker, so I will ramble. So when I asked what my name was tonight, to clarify, they asked me if I was born or correct. Correct. After the bus. So, and thinking about it on my way here, I thought of words to describe that. I best are dedicated and tireless. I don't know many people that work as hard or as tireless as he does. He would take us as kids to just about every event he went to. Hours didn't matter. A lot of these coaches and players had to put up with me and my brothers. And I feel sorry for them. There was a lot of fights between my brothers. The man just never stopped. There was an event going on, we were going to go to it, we all went. I grew up in that athletic department that Mr. Brand was talking about. This is probably waiting for good that and share it. Got to go later too. Like I said, these people just had us for something that took us along with it. It was quite something to watch. I wasn't going to tell the story, but Dad had some challenges with what he had to do, and I remember he would have to take all of a sudden get the teams get them equipment or whatever. And I remember one time being basically coming home from school and being told to get in the van, we're taking the tennis team wherever it was. And was actually on the tennis team there. And I think we had that support that the high school had. And on the way there, there was about 10 teenage girls just talking the whole time. They had this tennis match, and on the way back, about 10 and 10, I realized it was very, very quiet. And I think Dad was probably tired at this point, it was stuck with us. And I looked back in the thing, entire tennis team, eyes this big, and we're waiting on one seat. His dad was driving, and he was a driving instructor as well, but his driving, he was scared me a little bit. So, anyway, like I said, tireless this man would come home from work and we had sheep and pigs, we would go feed sheep and pigs, and then right back out for another athletic game. I remember staying after the football games when I could stay away for the whole football game. He would be in the office calling the scores, to the papers, everything else, and then we would go down and turn all the lights off on the football field. I think we got 11 or 12 o'clock. And I was ready to completely shut down and still going strong. And that dedication is to everything in his life. It's something to see, and I hope I was able to take some of that in my professional life. I can tell you that Dad isn't somebody who likes the limelight on him, but I will tell you, I know this is really on.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bill Morley.
I'm not sure I need the microphone. I yelled at coaches and kids long enough. I still have a voice to be able to talk louder. In 1971, the Urbana City Schools hired Ray DeCola as our football coach, our tennis coach. They hired Bob Brenning as our head baseball coach and assistant football coach. And they brought Ron Coder up from junior high to be basketball coach, which we later talked him into moving over to track and cross country. That probably was the smartest move Urbana City Schools has ever made, because their records are up there for somebody to try to break. And whoever does that will include a lot of young people, and will make them better human beings, better students. In 1972, as was mentioned before, I came on as athletic director. We had $139 in the athletic account. The first football game is going to cost $150. Needless to say, I was a little worried about how we're going to pull this off. The former athletic director finally convinced me that I didn't have to worry about it because we didn't have to pay the police and the ticket takers and the ticket sellers until after the season was over. That was a relief. About the third day on the job, Ray DeCola asked me to go down to the locker room. He had something to show me. Brand new uniforms, and they were nice. Nice uniforms, Ray. What they paid for us, just a blank stare, which meant no, they weren't paid for. About halfway through the football season, Don Rinker from Mink Sporting Goods came in, and 2 or 3 young men behind him. They're carrying boxes. I didn't order anything. All new basketball uniforms, home and away, new basketball warm-ups, and wrestling uniforms. We didn't have a wrestling team. Let me introduce the guy that made that order. His name is Don Keeball. He's here tonight. Former athletic director. Stand up, Don. Now, I need to settle a couple things. I also ordered a wrestling match. It cost $3,000. Now, I didn't have a nickel, but I need the bill to come through. I'll tell you one other thing. The hotel room, the superintendent back then, he said, I want you to go down to the office. I want you to talk to Ray DeCola. And I did. And I said, Ray, come up and look at our facility. And he was a coach at Johnstown and did real well. And I said, look around the town, see what you think. And see if you'd like to come here as our head coach. But we were in the process of making a change. So he did. Stopped by the house. After it was over with, Ray DeCola told me when he saw that stadium, he went nuts and he just had to be there. But he had one stipulation. I need to bring me a coach with me. I said, okay, one. For some reason, he told us to get out of the promise. Bob read it, and the rest is history. But it's been a good ride, guys. We did well. When you get to our age, you forget things. He didn't order any wrestling match. I said to him, why did you order these uniforms? I knew you were going to start wrestling. So we did. We went to the book. We only had $139 to tell, so we had to go to the Booster Club. Thank goodness there was guys like Gene Bradstetter, Bill Stickley, Kay Roush, John Berkheimer, Ed Richards. Just about anything we went to them with, they'd help us out. Adding that, other things help us move it along. They built the building in North End of the football. And Rick Park didn't do that. That was the Booster Club. Those guys would go out, talk one of the bank presidents into loaning them personal money They put it in for our athletic program, and they worked to pay it off. About the second or third day I was on the job, the superintendent called me in. Title IX, which most of us have forgotten about, had just been passed. It simply meant that you were going to have girls' programs. For the high schools, it wasn't nearly the problem it was for colleges. They had scholarship problems. We didn't have to worry about that. The superintendent said, "You know Title IX's in." Yes. "We're going to start girls' programs." Okay. We're going to start it next year. We're going to start it in the fall. We're going to start it right now. We have a schedule? No. Do we have any coaches? No. We only have $139 until we've got money set aside to help us get started. No. Why did I take this job? Second week on the job, we have a league meeting. D-ball says, "I'll take it." So we go to pick one. We sit in this meeting for about 15 minutes. The league disbands. And we're going to disband at the end of the 72-73 school year. D-ball said, "Don't worry about it. I'll get you in another league." So we go back to Columbus a week later, maybe. That league disbanded the meeting too. So we have no money. We're starting girls' sports, and now we got to find a league. And K-ball's personality, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." Get back to Urbana. He said, "Let me call Charlie Price, the principal of Northeastern." Charlie said, "Yeah, we've got problems too, just like you do. Let's see if we can get some other schools to meet." So around Thanksgiving in 1972, 5 schools met. Northeastern, Urbana, Shawnee, Greenon, and London. And that was the start of the CBC. It was a challenge. Not only did we struggle as an athletic department trying to win some ball games, but we had to get girls started. We even started a program for girls. Simply decided we make an announcement first day of school, tell the girls, "If you want to start a program, come on down, see the athletic director. He'll put this on the counter. If so many girls show up or are on the list, we'll start a program." That fall, we started volleyball and girls golf. And how many girls golf teams there are in the state of Ohio in 1972? 3. One in Cincinnati, one in Northeastern Ohio. We had 4 golf matches, 2 in Urbana, 1 in Northeastern Ohio, and 1 in Cincinnati. When they came back from Northeastern Ohio, I think they got home like at 2 o'clock in the morning. Had school the next day. Things have changed drastically. In the wintertime, we had girls basketball. I prayed we never have to go through another girls' junior varsity basketball game like we had back then. Scores from 5-2, 10-6. There were 50 to 60 turnovers every ball game. Sometimes the ball never got across the 10-second line for a whole quarter. It was a challenge, and really that part of it was fun because you saw young ladies who had an opportunity to do what the boys had been doing for years. the success we had was not just in wins and losses. The success was in the fact that the coaches developed young people doing things the right way. Whether it was on the field or on the court. I still remember Bob Rennie. He had weekly eligibility sheets. Bob Rennie would take a young man up and meet a teacher, and you could hear the young man tell him all the way, Coach, this is what it was, this is what it was. And then when he got in front of the teacher, it was a completely different story. The young man had to meet certain requirements. Not a lot of coaches did that, but ours did. The fact that we didn't have money and we worked through it was the result of a bunch of guys and gals who got together and helped take care of each other. I still remember a meeting at my house. Don talked about Grady Coleman. He was an older man, a veteran, and been at 3 different schools, one being a private school. And I simply laid it out to the coaches. We don't have enough money to operate. We're just going to have to go with what we take in from the football games, from the basketball games, and move on. Set up budgets. And Ray stood up and said to the rest of the coaches, we've got to work together. That started it. From there, we just built. After we got through those first couple of years, kept talking about needing facilities. One day I get a phone call. Mike Melvin at Perpetual said, how much land do you need? 20 acres. You got it. That was the start of Orchard. And I sat after that phone. Why didn't I say 25 or 30? You know, those things happen. The athletic department eventually had enough money that we started the baseball field. I still remember the day Bob and I stood down at the corner of the facility and tried to decide whether or not to put the baseball field down where the track is or up on top. Well, we chose up on top. There was a 26-foot fall in the property. Now, there's more than that now because the track has been lowered. That first 2 or 3 ball games Bob had up there, I think the top fly was a home run. I'm close to it. I'm sure he thought about that time. Maybe we made a mistake, but it turned out well. One funny story, where in the football, when we had a camera, and Lee Collins was our chemistry teacher, he ran the camera. When it got cold, the old camera didn't work very well. Finally, Lee Collins said, I can't do this anymore. You either buy a new camera or I'm done. We didn't have money to buy a camera, so we went to the booster club, bought a new $3,000 camera. The very next year, we made the playoffs. Some schools were videotaping, and some schools were still using the camera. And so, if you played a team in the playoffs who had videotape equipment, they had to loan it to you so your coaches could videotape it. Look at the videotape sheet. So, Ray and I go to a meeting, and we decided to drive separately so Ray could bring the equipment back, and they'd have a coaches meeting. We played at the Washington Courthouse, I think it was. They had videotape. So Greg brought the videotape back. After I was done with my part of the meeting, I came back on the way home. I'm just going to run up to high school and see how the videotape works. I walked in the door, and all 5 or 6 coaches jumped up at the same time. We got to buy this. After we bought a brand new $3,000 camera. Dan Trump has some place in his arsenal. Sharon and I are blessed to have a wonderful family. Blessed to have a church family. I'm blessed to be a Rotarian, working with some very fine people in this community. But in the long run, I've been blessed to work with, I don't know how many super people at Urbana High School. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Our next inductee is Mr. Doug Rutan. Doug Rutan is a 1982 graduate of Urbana High School, where he excelled in 3 sports as a hill climber. In football, Doug was the starting quarterback his sophomore, junior, and senior years. He led the team to a 28-1-1 over those 3 years. He was named first team All-Ohio in 1981. In basketball, Doug was a 4-year starter, and during his senior year, he led the hill climbers to a 24-2 record and a regional runner-up finish. In baseball, Doug was a 4-year starter and led the hill climbers to 4 league championships, 2 district titles, and a state title in 1982. After graduation, Doug received an athletic scholarship to attend the University of Cincinnati to play football. He later transferred to Urbana University, where he played all 3 sports and excelled. He was inducted to the Urbana University Athletic Hall of Fame in 1993. Doug coached baseball numerous years at both Indian Lake and Ben Logan High School. He has been selected as the Miami Valley Baseball Coaches Association Coach of the Year in 2000 and 2007. Now I would like to call up Coach Brennan, who would also like to speak on Doug's behalf.
Before I get started talking about Doug, I'd like to make a comment on football players. It's hard for you to understand somebody that played when Doug did, because that's a long time ago. But if you ever find anything about him, or know anything about him, or talk to people about him, he's the type of player you want to emulate. Not only because he had great skills, because he's an awesome person. The way he conducted himself on the field, on the basketball court, or on the street, or in the hallways, was always the best. I really challenge young people, not just you, to do that. And it's harder now than it used to be. Social media has been a good thing, and it's been a challenging thing. And if you get a chance, find out a little bit more about Doug, because he's special. I didn't know it at the time, but in 1978, I had the good fortune to start to know and coach one of the best athletes that ever came through Urbana High School. Doug Rutan just didn't play 3 sports for 4 years. He was the star of those 3 sports. Yes, Doug was surrounded by many outstanding players, and he will admit to that. But Doug was the man that they looked to. Even though Doug was a confident person, he was never arrogant or boastful. When you talk to him, you would not know that he was a star. Doug has the unique ability to make his teammates better. They looked at him as their leader. They respected him. They trusted him. Doug never put himself above the team. He always put the success of the team first. When it came to hard work, Doug always did more than required. That might be, and I remember this often, staying after practice on the football field, and the receivers would stay there and they'd work for another 15, 20 minutes or more on pads. Or in basketball, shooting extra after a contest or practice. And in baseball, he would always take extra batting practice. There's one specific example that really tells you a lot about Doug. As mentioned, their senior year, the basketball team was very, very good. Great group of kids, fun to watch. They end up losing in a tough game in the regional finals. I remember vividly, it was a Friday night, it was a late game. I got to thinking, those guys are going to get home really late. I got to believe it was after midnight or 1 o'clock before they got to bed. Well, we had scheduled a baseball practice at 8 o'clock the next morning. I didn't expect any of the baseball players that were in the basketball program to be there. But just before I got ready to start practice that morning, I looked over, and who was walking in the door but Doug? And he couldn't have much sleep. But he never missed an opportunity to get better. And he always put his teammates first. As good an athlete as Doug was, he is even a better person. Whether it's being a husband, father, teacher, or coach, Doug always does it the right way. I can say there was one time that I was not really liking Doug very much. That's when he was the head baseball coach at Ben Logan. We had scheduled him, and we played him on a Saturday, and he beat us. He wasn't my favorite player at that time, okay? I'm just kidding. In reality, it was great to watch him coach. I was very proud of him. I was very proud of how he conducted himself and what he had taught his kids. And I'm not talking just about the X's and O's of the game, of how his kid conducted himself in the field, how they loved to play, and how hard they played. You always knew that when he coached the team, you better be the best. You better put forth your best effort, and you better play hard, because they're going to. Doug, your group was very special. I've told you that before. The 1982 group, not just because they reached the pinnacle of winning the state championship, they were good in everything. Mike Simpson made a comment to me years ago. He said, we're going to miss that group, Doug being one of them, as athletes, but we're going to miss them even more as young people. And he's right. And again, Doug was one of the leaders of that group. Doug, congratulations on all your accomplishments over the years. The way you represented yourself and Urbana High School was always first class. You have given a lot of Climber fans some great memories. Congratulations.
Thanks, Coach Green. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Doug Matane.
Thank you, Coach Redding, for those kind words. Brings back a lot of memories, great memories. I'd also like to thank the Ring of Honor Committee for putting me in for this great honor, Mr. Brenning, Coach Battle for nominating me. I want to also congratulate Mr. Borland for the induction as well. Very deserving. My wife's here tonight with me. I'd like to introduce my wife, Angie, 31 years. That's something in itself. I'd like to start by saying, again, I'm very honored to be here this evening. There's not too many things that catch me off guard. I try to make a point to kind of be ahead of things, and this got me. When my wife, she gave me the letter,
and the envelope, and she goes, "Oh yeah, by the way, a couple days ago, you received this envelope, this letter." And I was like, "Okay." So I opened it up, and I started reading it, and I believe I sat down. I said, "You're not going to believe this." And my wife and my daughter were like, "What happened? What's wrong?" And I probably assumed something was wrong. And said, then I explained to them what I was being honored and into the Ring of Honor. And never in my wildest dreams did I think it was an invitation letter and that I'd be honored. So I think this is definitely something I never expected, and I'm honored that you feel I'm deserving. But we all know that this is not an individual award by no means. There's so many people that have helped me along the way. This is theirs as much as it is mine. So many people deserve so much credit. I've been so fortunate and so blessed to have outstanding, supportive family, teammates, the Urbana community, my teachers, my coaches, my family, my brother, Darren, my parents, Ronnie and Brenda. I hope they've been able to be here tonight. Dad slowed down a lot here in the last couple of years, but he assures me he's going to be there tomorrow night at the game and be out there with me at halftime. So I'm really looking forward to that. There was never a time I can remember. I was involved in everything. Anything and everything I wanted to be involved with, they made sure, one way or another, that I was able to participate, be a part of that team, and make sure I had what I needed, be involved. They were my biggest, still are my biggest supporters. I can't ever remember them missing a high school game. They were always there. They never missed a game. High school, college. I can remember sitting down with, when we were making my decision where I was going to go to college, sitting down with Coach Nicola out at our house, and we got a big old map. And laid it out on the table, and put a compass, made a big circle, and everything inside that circle was about a 7 to 8 hour trip. So we knew they could come watch me play, and so we narrowed it down to those colleges in that area. And they were there. They were there almost every game. They might have missed a game at Florida State. I forget. It was a long ways away. And I wasn't playing at the time. But they'll be there tomorrow night, and I can't wait. My teammates, wow, what a great bunch of guys, teammates, friends, still to this day. Baseball, football, basketball. We've all went our separate ways, but we still are there for each other. Somebody needs one of us, we give each other a call. We know they're there. We still get together occasionally for that OSU party, or we get together for a golf scramble. And it's like we've never been apart. It could be several years before we see each other, and the camaraderie, the friendships we made as teammates will be out. Like I said, we haven't seen each other in years, and there we are. We're just cutting and carrying on and dogging each other. Like Coach Brady said, none of us were arrogant. We wouldn't let each other be that way. We put each other in our places, and still to this day, we're great friends. You know, my teachers and coaches. Mr. Brady said a lot of nice things about me in the classroom. I could have been a much better student. He's given me a lot more credit than I deserve. As you can imagine, I wasn't the ideal student. Let's just put it that way. But I do appreciate all my teachers, especially in high school, the effort that they gave me to keep me going, throughout my high school career, the life skills I still use today. Teachers like some old timers remember Dan Dalton, my algebra teacher. I can still remember coming in and his corny sayings. We'd come in and we'd start doing a formula and somebody'd say something pi r squared. What's he say? Pi r squared, pi r round, cornbread square. I still read stuff like that, or I come in, got his class early in the morning, dragging in there. And he'd say, retain. You look a little melancholy today. You got a head like a melon and a face like a collie. Just things like that, just brighten up our day. And great guy and a great algebra teacher. And another teacher I have to mention, Mrs. Johnson. Oh, this lady, she was relentless. She was one tough bird, put it nicely. I thought she hated me. I really did. I mean, you never went into her class unprepared. You just didn't do it. And I still to this day, I don't know how to pass her class. I guess it was back before failure was not an option. She was making sure failure was not an option. She got me through somehow. But you can imagine how I felt. I've got her, I get through her geometry class, and I go up to study hall maybe the next year. Who's my study hall teacher? Mrs. Johnson. I'm like, yeah, because we all know what study hall is for. Sleeping. And I did my share in there, not with Mrs. Johnson. She's on me from day one. Get your head up. You're not sleeping in here. God forbid I have Darcy Oakley give me her vocab definitions so I can copy them down. I didn't get mine. I didn't do mine. Do your own vocabulary. You're not learning anything. It's on me all the time. But now flash forward 35 years. What am I doing? I'm teaching. Academic assist. That's Benjamin Logan's version of study hall. I got my students out there. Wake up. You're not sleeping. Get your head up. Nobody's laying their head down. Do your own work. Get your own books out. It's just one generation to the next, But I appreciate her efforts. She probably doesn't remember me, but I do remember her. I can't mention my teachers without mentioning Mr. Brenning, who I still call Mr. Brenning to this day. He's never told me I can call him Bob, first of all. I'm still waiting. I owe him too much respect. We respect our teachers, we respect our coaches so much, you can't call him anything other than Mr. or Coach. But I know you tell me, you can call me Bob. He still hasn't done that yet, so I'm waiting. But I can still remember his class, his history class, and I'll let him tell you the stories, but it was a who's who of athletes, cheerleaders, just all around knuckleheads in his history class one year, and we had a lot of fun. But we knew when he cracked the whip, we knew when it was time to get to work and to start studying, but it was a good time, it was a great class. There was everybody in there. And lastly, I got to thank my coaches, all the way up from middle school to junior varsity, the varsity assistant coaches, head coaches. I was so fortunate to have some of the best coaches to ever go through Urbana High School. And you heard Mr. Borland talk about some of them. They were the most knowledgeable coaches. They knew everything about their sport. If they didn't know it, they would make sure they found out. They were tough as nails, honestly. Yet we, as players, truly knew they cared about us. And I honestly know that they would do anything for us. We knew that. And I know that because I witnessed it. I witnessed the things that they would do for us on and off the field. They would go the extra mile. Just to give you an idea, and Mr. Shea touched on this a little bit, of how good my high school coaches were. And how many people do you know can say that not one, not two, but all three of their high school coaches are state Hall of Fame inductees in the sport that they coached? So I went through high school, and all three of my coaches were later inducted into the state Hall of Fame. I can say that. Not many people can say that. That's how lucky I was. Ray Cole, Tom Idle, Bob Redding. It was those kind of coaches that gave me opportunities as a player and as a person that I otherwise wouldn't have had, and the memories that I have for a lifetime. I wouldn't have had without them. Give an example. How many high school players can say they got the opportunity, high school basketball players say they got the opportunity to be league district champions, and along the way play against future NBA and NFL players on the basketball court? I can say that because they gave us the opportunity to go far, far in the tournament. How many high school football players, and they touched on this a little bit ago, can say they played on two undefeated teams, finished their career 28-1-1? I can say it. How many high school baseball players can say they achieved the ultimate goal of being part of a winning state baseball championship team, throwing the final pitch of the game for the final out, and then just being mobbed by your teammates for a big pile up in the middle of the infield? I can. Those are just a few of the memories I get to carry around with me every day because of those coaches, those great coaches I had. So I thank you, family, teammates, my teachers, coaches in Urbana High School. Without you, I wouldn't be up here right now, and I most definitely wouldn't be where I am today. The experiences and the opportunities that you gave me during and after high school, I can never repay you. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Borland and Mr. Rutan. How about another round of applause for both? It's been an honor to get to know the both of you the last couple weeks. Mr. Borland, I've known you since I was hired here. I got to introduce myself. Mr. Rutan, this past month and a half, 2 months, it's been a pleasure knowing, and I'm looking forward to the great friendships that we'll continue to build here. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. This concludes tonight's service.